Hey everyone, we're reporting live from Las Vegas. Trey now has a credentialed game under his belt, man. He met everybody, everyone was shaking hands, kissing babies, getting acquainted. How do you feel after? Well, I guess I'll set the scene first. The Raptors, they shellacked, like absolutely dominated the Bulls, 116-72. They forced a summer league record amount of turnovers. It was close to their highest amount of like winning differential. Keeks was talking about it afterwards. It was a hell of a game. The defense, it permeated throughout the roster. Before we get into it and talk about it, how do you feel? You're NBA media now.
I'm still a fan at the end of the day, but it was cool. Like obviously, it's something that I've always wanted to do and see. So, what it feels like you know when like you're the new kid at school, you don't know really, you don't know really how to act. You can't show people your true self immediately.
I clapped again. Oh Lord.
So as I'm watching the game, I'm like, all right, let me not scream, let me not jump up and down, let me act like I've watched NBA games before, but like the Raptors played too well. There's too many super exciting moments, and like what we got from like a summer league game was like far beyond what I imagined. That we went 2 years ago and saw some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my damn life, and our top 10 pick didn't even play today, and we got great basketball, so it's really cool.
A quick note for anybody: if you didn't get to catch it and you're surprised, Colin Murray Boyles had his adductor was sore, and so not well. Adductor is the leg, I guess. I was doing here. This isn't whatever. That's a lat. I don't know what the hell it is. Anyway, he's supposed to play in game 2, which is this Sunday. Obviously, he would fit very well into what the Raptors want to do. Their ball pressure was exemplary, and it was for 48 minutes. It was with AJ Lawson, who led the team in scoring. It was with Alijah Martin, who was second in scoring. It was with Jamal Shead, who drew, I think, 3 offensive fouls in the game, who pressed up every possession. Chucky Hepburn was there. I mean, everybody brought it. And Chomche was like, that's maybe your favorite part. And we'll get into Chomche. We'll do like a full Chomche thing, but just an extremely fun game. Before we move on, how do you feel about like the proximity to the court that you get at summer league? Like being a media member, like you sit like when you say you weren't celebrating, I was on the broadcast like a jackass because I celebrate and I react to the plays like I'm not like a ooh go Raptors, but either team has a great play, I'm losing my mind. Like when Buzelis has the windmill dunk, I'm like going like oh in the background. How do you feel about I guess the proximity?
I think like what's really cool about the proximity is that you get to see like the inner workings and like just like the conversations that they have and like what coverages like James Wade is calling out like constantly for the different looks that they're doing, and like how like the players are like particularly like Jamal Shead like holding each other accountable, organizing other players like on the court, and like you see who like actually has like a feel of like what's going on and like who guides other people like throughout the process. So like that's something you don't necessarily see on TV unless you're seeing like sometimes you see Scotty Barnes point and tell the big to come up or someone to get out of the weak side corner, but you don't get to see all those conversations and like what they're trying to do and execute.
It's really interesting, and that's like I had a long conversation with Jamal. There will be a piece out at some point. It's about Jamal, his evolution as a point guard. But we had a long conversation the other day, and he refuses almost to discuss himself in like singular terms. It's always team, 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 and you really see that when he's out on the floor. Like statistically, he wasn't the most remarkable Raptor, but of the guys who exhibited control over this game, whether it was through his ball handling at the start when he actually got the possessions because the Bulls played a lot of zone early with Asenge, which was a unique wrinkle. But he leads with the pressure on one end, he controls the ball on the other, and he helped set the pace for the Raptors and helped guide them through, I think, was a challenging start. As you say, being close and getting to hear like when they're like, we want a weak, ice him. You know, it's like who's rotating, and they're constantly switching guys on the backside too. It's like, no, you should be the low man. You two should switch out of the corner. And even just talking about like when they're like, hey, let's run 52 like out of like the inbounds or whatever, you get to see what that play means, which you don't always get to pick up on the broadcast, which I know some people are very good at looking at the broadcast and seeing what signs coaches do, but I've never had that level of effort personally to go back and do that. I know like Evan and Caitlin both do it, but it's not for me. let's talk about what do you want to talk about Ulrich first? Because you've been waiting for the Ulrich game. Okay, it's yours. Boogie woogie.
Or it's like had like surpassed any expectations that you wanted to see from him, especially like early from a first game of summer league coming back from an injury. I think like as we spoke about a couple of days ago, you wanted to see that like the game was starting to slow down and he understood like the pacing and like feel of actually playing basketball. And then you saw that today. Like the Raptors like ball pressure, we talked about it during the game. Like the ball pressure allowed him to be in more safe situations. They never really asked him to play at the level. He was in drop constantly and didn't have to make tons of rotation like decisions. But like his size, his length, and athleticism like popped defensively. And once he came into the game and was subbed, and Colin Castleton was subbed out, the Bulls had significant issues. Like one getting to the rim, and then once they got there, they weren't able to make any plays out of it because Orich has like the movement skills to really deter anyone from even attempting a shot. And I think like offensively, the screening was better and the pacing when he was rolling significantly better. Last year, he sets the screen, he's sprinting to the rim, hoping for a lob, whereas now he's working with his guard. He turned that into a couple floaters into the game. He had enough feel to do a duck out, grab the ball, to make a hook shot, and those are like easy points that allows you to stay on the court. And with the overall defense he has, like he doesn't ever have to be like a tremendous offensive player. He just has to be able to take advantage of the things that come to him, and if he can do that with the defense and the potential he has, like he may be like the long-term starter like 2-3 years from now. And I think that's probably the Raptors hope because they haven't addressed that spot with any like long-term options.
It is a great point. The pacing in the pick and roll is probably the most important one because it's his defense is still effective. It's very messy still. It's very he's not asked to do too much. He does a lot within not being asked to do too much, if that makes sense. Like they're like, hey, this is what you do. It's very small, but he's huge in that role. He's marauding around the rim, and it's effective. Figuring it out, the pick and roll pacing is pretty impressive. It's not all the way there, but as you said, like running for the lob. And last year when we were watching him, he would like sprint. He wouldn't look at the ball handler. He would just like look up at the end and be like, "Can I catch a lob here?" And even at training camp, like in Montreal, the training camp scrimmage, it was the same thing. It was just that, and he was like slow jogging in the lane. He has such a big catch radius. It's like he could be hit. And these guys want their roller to be effective. And even they created threes because he started drawing tags in the game. That's like an evolution as a roller that's really meaningful. And of course, it's just summer league, but I personally had so little expectation for Chomche. He tore his MCL. He had to come back from that. He hardly played in the NBA. This summer league I didn't expect to be a coming out party, and it isn't. But the effectiveness he was able to bring offensively, the small steps he's taken as a decision maker, he was able to make like a short roll pass. He was able to make a pass out of delay action to a back cutter. Like this doesn't make you a world beater, but it's just meaningful steps and progressions being taken. And defensively, he's massive. You didn't get anything at the rim without him challenging it. And does that matter, like to be more clean and clinical at the NBA level? Fouls don't matter in summer league, so you can kind of go crazy. And he'd have to play more expansive. But like this is a big step, and this is really meaningful. And he and Mogbo together, they really bossed the front court. Like they shut down so much stuff throughout the game.
That was kind of where the game opened up. Like once Chomsky got into the game, like things opened up because like defensively, like even if you get past your man, that you're the Raptors were able, like from the weak side, become more aggressive because Chomsky's in front of the rim, and it allowed them to create more turnovers, be aggressive, and dig much more than they were previously. And I think like with him, like a couple things like you want to see is like I hopefully like some of that athleticism and like motor translate to like on the glass, and he can scoop up and score things from there. And then also, I think him like the Raptors ask their bigs to dribble. He's gonna have to be able to like make a live dribble pass here and there, not significantly, but a few times a game. Like Jakob Pertl like has a very controlled dribble, and can make plays out of those actions. And like he's showing flashes of those things, and that's all you kind of want to see. If he's in the G League next year, which I'm assuming that's the plan, and he looks like he could be the backup big for the 26-27 season, that's a massive success. So I think day one, so far, so good.
And we were saying, like, we're really excited to watch Colin Murray Boyles.
Mm-hmm.
He's once again older than Chomche. Even if it sounds like what we're saying, like we're slow walking his development in our expectation, he's still so young that the backup big for presumably a playoff team at age 21.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing at all. And you can also, like we were saying, when he's 27 or 28, why wouldn't he be a good level NBA big if he just keeps adding stuff to his game? He has the size and mobility. The MCL didn't seem to affect anything. He's back from it. He covers ground really well. He gets up really well. Hands are a big thing. Yeah. I don't know how you get hands better over time. I don't know exactly how they train that. I should ask you about that, how NBA players train. Josh, do you know how NBA players work on hands? Okay, I thought maybe because of the Fred stuff. Yeah. Anyway, but it's something that's actually probably a good piece to write. That's how do you get good hands? But he needs better hands. That's probably a decent amount on Chomche. Jamal Shead, Alijah Martin, AJ Lawson, Chucky Hepburn was the first guard off the bench, but he came in before Elijah, but not as big an impact. Those guys were dominant. Do you have a favorite performance of the three?
I think Elijah Martin is the big standout out of everyone else. Like you saw how he can become a good NBA player, and I think the really good thing about the performance is that like he knows the path for him to become a good NBA player, and that's using his athleticism to get after it defensively, attack closeouts, and be aggressive and use his physicality. Like defensively, like some of that was sloppy. Like for a guy like of his size, you probably want him to get low and be able to like beat guys to 2 spots. I think in the first half that was kind of an issue for him, but in the second half, like he's so strong and that it shows on tape. Once he was able to get even a little bit of wiggle room on JFL, he bumps him out of the way. That was the one time I had to break character, and he throws it down at the rim. And when the shot pops, like he's gonna get tons of those opportunities, and he hit tons of threes. And I think what I really liked is that heading into like the fourth quarter, they're winning by 40 points at this point. He got more point guard possessions, and he still didn't play outside of himself. They moved the ball. He was able to spot up, relocate, and hit other threes. And that's what he's going to do on the 905 or for the Raptors. So I think the pathway for him is like fairly simple, fairly easy, and to see how he's going to earn minutes for the team. I think if that and like the defense pops, he has a chance to like be a success story as a second round pick, and the Raptors haven't had too many of those in a while.
His clarity on what type of player he wanted to be was exceptionally clear. When he and we had an extended conversation, and obviously I wrote the piece about it. But there's stuff that's not in the piece that was like, oh, this is great. It'll come out in another piece if he's having a good rookie year. But he was able to. It's a good point you made about like the speed. He wasn't beating guys to spots in the first half, but by the second half, he had like cleaned it up so much to the point where he's starting to dominate physically. And when they had Chomche in the game, and he was like a plus 23 in this one, and they're saying, okay, we're going to sit him back and we want you guys just like up the pressure a bunch, and we're going to dig from the wings. Those guys, whether it's like AJ got after it, Elijah got after it, Jamal got after it, Chucky got after it, everybody's just getting on the floor, diving. And he was 2 of 4 from downtown. Quick trigger, not a slow build at all. He's able to get into a shot really quick. He hit a movement triple. He hit a stationary triple. The other triples didn't miss horribly. Like we were watching Buzelis, it was like maybe it goes in. He hit a couple, but some misses by you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, right? Elijah, the jumper looked good. I'm glad to see him hit on movement. And the drive stuff is like, yeah, he's going to be much better if he gets to load up into that 1 foot takeoff. And it was impressive that he gave JFL a live dribble bump before cradling into his own and then punch. Jeez. And then the other one was like a classic, like pump, go to 2 feet, take off. And he almost punched that one. He's very electric. And I wonder, because he had that one slice middle with that huge left-handed push floater that went in. It was like a teardrop. I was like, well, I didn't see a bunch of that in his tape at Florida. That's really nice to see. He was very strong. Like the defense, he was there. The offense, he didn't take too much, but he was really good in what he did take. He made all of the right decisions in transition. He lobbed Mogbo twice in a span of like 3 minutes. Mogbo caught 3 lobs in like 4 minutes. I guess just to give AJ Lawson quickly and Jamison Battle their due, those guys, like AJ, maybe not a rotation NBA player on a bunch of teams, but like an NBA player, an NBA skill set, especially in a team like the Raptors. And I don't know what his situation is going to be in this upcoming year, but especially in a team that wants that ball pressure, he's a pretty electric, and there's a lot of speed to his game. And when he got to play kind of in the Raptors, they're looking for guys to take advantage because they're playing a zone and there's lots of broken plays. He's like, I'm the shooter, I'm the scorer. I've given you 30 in an NBA game before. I'll certainly take the shots at Summer League. He was just so comfortable scoring, and Jamison Battle was really the bellwether of what was working offensively, because when it was stagnant and broken, they couldn't get him any shots. Yeah. And then they have a run where the offense starts humming. Chomche can draw a tag, so it can go to the corner for an open 3. He goes 5 of 7 for 13 points. Like those guys, they weren't the tone setters for how the Raptors played overall, but certainly they were the professional bucket getters who come in and make this, like, it's not rookies necessarily who make Summer League championships. Yeah. It's quality players who could be in the NBA and who fit their role, who know what they're doing. And those guys, they provided a bunch.
Yeah. Like with AJ, he's bought into like the principles of like what the Raptors are like trying to accomplish. Like with his ball pressure, like it was even far more than we would see even with like the 905. Especially on the weak side and tons of digs that they made. Both him and Mogbo like created like enough havoc that Asenge, even
seven turnovers.
Buzelis were picking up so far away from the rim that like the Raptors were able to actually like swarm in on them, and that created so many extra turnovers that got the ball humming, and they're able to get in transition and score like significantly easier. He's like a guy that I would be surprised if he plays past like Sunday or a couple more games, because you kind of know what you're getting from him. I think like defensively, if he can keep this up at the NBA level, that's where you're like hitting at like he could be like the 9th man on this team, and you utilize his shooting and his spacing to stick in certain lineups. The Raptors obviously need shooting across several of their lineups, to be honest, because their starting unit obviously has questionable shooting. So he like the opportunity is there, and like he's showing at like his age he should be too good for Summer League. So I'm happy that he's showing that stuff and he's getting the opportunity, because he's bounced around the league for a really long time. And like the Raptors need to win roster spots in that way, and finding guys with those opportunities that have been around the league and fit within your system. Like it looks like AJ could be a potential win. Like hopefully Mamu is one of those as well. So like amazing stuff from him.
AJ is he's gonna have to beat somebody in camp. Yeah. And honestly, like it could end up like Garrett Temple could be a guy who could get beaten out of camp if someone rocks, and then they try and like, hey Temple, you get this money, and maybe you stick around the team in some other capacity. I don't know, but yeah, there's always room. Like Battle was a guy who there wasn't really room for him on the roster, but he was so accomplished as a shooter that he found his way on last season. It can always shake out that way. There are guys who seem like this guy should be on the team. Like Jared Rhoden had the inside track a couple times. Utah also beat out O'Shea Brissett however many years ago. Like you play good, oftentimes you'll get rewarded with opportunity, and then opportunity can become, a more meaningful contract. I don't know with AJ, but we brought up Mogbo, probably the best big on the floor. Yeah. Now it's not like the Bulls have like Asenge is their most notable big. Outside of that, it's like nobody's really making mountains move. Castleton was all right. Chomche was excellent relative to himself, but Mogbo is a guy who struggled a lot in last Summer League because he was playing wing. Yeah. And in this game, he was strictly a dominant big relative to the talent level or the competition level. How do you feel about Mogbo, his performance, and does it mean anything to you to see him, excelling here?
I think it's like still important, especially like offensively, that like he I think like a lot of his actions like within the pick and roll, he was probably the most dangerous like when he had like the ball in his hands. But like as a roller, utilizing his athleticism, like in San Francisco, that's where he like really popped. And you saw that today. Defensively, he was great last season, and it was great today. He was one of also one of the big reasons of like why the Bulls had such a hard time scoring, because he was able to switch any action. If Jamal Shead died on a screen, he was able to take the opposing guard, and it, there's no drop off in defensive talent when that switch happens, and he was able to guard every single player on the floor, and he was able to create turnovers as well. And like the Raptors, like if they're gonna be good, they're gonna have to create a lot of turnovers, because they're a team that doesn't have tons of shooting on the roster, and they have a lot of young players that are going to play minutes this year. So if Mogbo can be a guy that is a plus defender, and like the offense comes because of transition stuff, or like winning on the glass, or being a great pick and roll finisher, that's like his pathway of being a rotation player. The wing stuff, that even like to the season where they asked him to take the ball top of the key and like see what he can do, doesn't seem like foreseeable for him like moving forward. And like I like that they have a plan that is best suited like for his skill set.
These performances certainly don't define who he will be as a player, but it's just good that he's succeeding at this. Like this clears a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Mogbo wasn't going to prove anything at Summer League. He was just going to quiet some things. And that's what Summer League is for second-year players, especially guys who are trying to find their role. I do wonder, like with Mogbo, there's obviously going to be opportunity for him to play this season. I think how good Jacoby and Grady are is actually going to help Mogbo out a lot, because him having release valves like those guys offensively, and depending on how they stagger the lineups, so that there's not a lot of pressure on him. Because last season we saw him struggle because they play out of delay, but they don't have anything dangerous, so he's kind of left to float and dribble, and it looked terrible. But if there's a bunch of dangerous players, this stuff kind of sorts itself out. It's like the Raptors are going to have offensive limitations throughout Summer League, as you said, but they scored 40 points off of turnovers, and they got to play quicker because of it, that they papered over some of their weaknesses. Mogbo is a guy who has a glaring offensive weakness, but the Raptors, if the roster plays better and the shooters on the roster perform better, they'll have an opportunity with team context to paper over his weaknesses and then bolster some of his strengths as he continues to work on himself. That's a path forward. That's a potential thing. This game doesn't make that a yes or no, certainly not, but it was good to see him dominate. It was good to see him dunk a lot. It was good to see him hit a couple finger rolls.
Yes.
Love to see a couple finger rolls. We all knew he's an explosive 2-foot jumper. We all know he's extremely good. He's very quick getting to the ball. He's obviously very strong defensively. Great. All of it great. Jacoby Walter, 12 points on 12 shots. The playmaking wasn't very strong. A lot of his reps came early when they were facing that zone. Like Asenge meets guys at half court, sinks into his zone, either into the top two or sinks into the middle of it, depending on who they want to bring up. Like it was a funky look to throw directly at a bunch of young ball handlers, and the Raptors struggled with it. Jacoby as well. The pull-up three I liked a lot.
Yep.
The finish at the bucket I liked a lot. It wasn't the easiest game for him, because his live dribble creation is arguably the weakest part of his game. He's being asked to do a lot of it. And given where he was, he's much better at it now than he was last year. And you can see it's not good enough that I think it's going to pop. Some guys, like it happens in summer league, you're like, oh, this might be something he brings to the NBA, like the season. I don't know if he'll bring like a bunch of creation to this season, but his defense looked really strong. He does look bigger. I don't think 12 pounds bigger, but defense looks strong. He looks bigger. He was doing things that make him uncomfortable, and he was better at it than he had been in the past. That's all a huge win. It wasn't like a home run.
Yeah.
S and I were making jokes where we're doing this so he doesn't have to do his recap video, right? So you can just enjoy the Coldplay concert and enjoy, a nice night out with his wife, which is good. He works so goddamn much. And I was like, well, what if Jacoby scores 40? I know the video essayist in you would have to do so. He's like, yeah, man, I would have to. It's all points. You get the night off. What do you think of Jacoby?
I think it was a mixed bag. Like you wanted Jacoby to like have the AJ Lawson game and like show that
It would have been cooler if it was him.
yeah, 100%. And he looks that hey, he probably doesn't need to play past this weekend. But his what he will do and like what he's gonna do on the Raptors, like he did that well today. He got after it defensively. He although like the shot wasn't falling, he gets the spots, he rotates, he has feel like offensively. And like I believe in him as a shooter, like he got very hot towards the end of the year. Like he's going to be a good NBA player, a good rotation player. I think the swing skill obviously is like can he create in between probably in between the 3-point line and the rim? Right now, like we only see him have real success if it's a closeout situation.
And even then, like the
Yeah,
finishing.
yeah, exactly. So with him, like you want to see that creation somewhere in between in this within this like time period. The tough part I think with him is like sometimes aggression also. He AJ Lawson, regardless if he's shooting well or not, is going to take shots. I think with Jacoby, especially as once they got into zone, far more passive and they were running through their offense and they were looking for literally anyone that could create and get within the actual and beat their actual zone. I think like just it's a mixed bag and like the next game, like I wouldn't be shocked if he has 22 points and he hits 4 or 5 threes.
That's a good place to end off as a last topic is the next game because we won't be able to record the next game, but we'll both obviously watch it. You from Vegas, me from Toronto because I'm missing it. I'll be in the air and then watch it later. But um, what are you expecting from the next game? Like as far as as the last point on the Jacoby thing, I I'm high on Jacoby as a 3-and-D player. I'm not high on Jacoby as like this future mega creator or anything like that. I expect him to struggle at this stuff. It doesn't disappoint me in the slightest. Elijah Martin scored 16 because he didn't have to create that often. AJ Lawson didn't have to create that often. They ran these plays like pin downs and handoffs for those guys. Whereas Jacoby, a lot of it, they're like flat up top, try and create off the bounce. Not his strength at this point. If they were spamming other stuff, and they might, and that's my hope for game two, that's what I'm looking forward to. And especially with CMB, I presume starting. Yeah. Like, I think I would, well, I'll say I'd like to see them drop Castleton out of the starting lineup and roll with Mogbo, CMB, and Battle. Battle has to be out there for 3-point shooting. I think that would be really funky. And I'd like to see Jacoby running off of like Mogbo and CMB a lot. And obviously Jamal will too. That's what I'm looking forward to. If Chomche has another good game, I'm saying whoa, I'm saying hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think like with your Orlando game, like is another game that they're a perceivable favorite and should win by a good margin. What I'm interested to see because they play two like bigs that don't have a lot of polish and like and ball handling skill. Like they're gonna play ideally Tristan Da Silva plays, and if I would like to see like can Jonathan Mogbo chase him around and defend him in that sense, and that offers like a new wrinkle to the Raptors defense. I think like overall, like you said, I think CMB like if I would give him the ball and allow him to initiate, especially if another
against Penda.
Exactly. Especially like if another team plays if they play zone against them and see how that works and see the actions of how Jacoby runs around and their feel for each other because that's what they're going to do with the big club. And overall, like Chomsky had some like delay actions and stuff like that, but that's not anything that he's really comfortable with clearly. And like Castleton isn't a threat to put the ball on the floor, so I want to see those two in particular work together and like can CMB put the ball on the floor and score over other bigs. That's like the number one thing I want to see because if he can, he's going to be very very good.
I'm also not Scalabissier is in that game as well.
Oh.
And the guy that like a lot of people, myself included, because I was like young, I was like, he's from Kentucky, right? He was supposed to be like a top 10 pick. He's available at 27. Who's Pascal Siakam? And then that's a good decision, it turns out. Also, Jace Richardson. I'm extremely interested to see Jace Richardson play against this Raptors pressure because the control in his game is a feature of it. But against that level of pressure as a lead ball handler, I do wonder how that looks. Tristan da Silva, he had a pretty good game against the Kings. I don't think the Kings have the same guys to throw at him as like Mogbo and CMB. And like if I'm Tristan da Silva, I'm not looking forward to that. It's like Cooper Flagg shot 5 of 21 because Darius Baisley can't make it in the league, but he could defend in the NBA. And he stood there, he was like, Cooper Flagg, I'm gonna eat you for lunch. I want to give you they signed me to give you the toughest possible time. And CMB and Mogbo sitting across from Da Silva is pretty tough. And that glut of guards who give you 48 minutes of ball pressure, digs, full court pickup, those guys against Jace Richardson, it would tell me something about Jace if he succeeded against that. I'd be very impressed with him. That's probably what I'm looking forward to most is how Jace tries to navigate the guards, how they funnel shots specifically to Jacoby, and then the CMB of it all. And hopefully he plays. Like he's supposed to play the next game. They didn't let me watch him. Damn. But I'll see him lots back in Toronto anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Any, I guess, topping notes for you?
If Ulrich Chomche has another game like this, don't expect me to be rational. That's all I'm gonna say. Every play that he made, I look over to you and be like, nodding my head. It's like seeing your son like ride a bike, and he's finally getting it. So I'm just excited to see more basketball. Like the last time that we were here, like it wasn't very good, and like the Raptors are one of the best teams in I guess it's a tournament. I guess in the tournament. So I'm expecting another like comfortable win, and like hopefully that comes from like CMB offense. That would be like the coolest thing possible.
If CMB is boogieing and woogieing with a live dribble, that would be pretty gnarly. And like we got to watch the game together. Last time you got to watch the games with Josh. This time you got to watch a game with me, and you're gonna watch the other game with S. Presumably both sitting courtside as credentialed media. That's a cool thing. Josh, anything you want to say to the people?
Hello.
Thank you for that, Josh. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We'll be back probably for a Thursday episode. Once you get back from Vegas, once everybody's back from Vegas, we'll recap. And there'll be a hello and welcome episode that we're doing on tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, so we're doing a collab show from somewhere in the Thomas Mack Center. So that'll be fun. Everyone look out for that. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I should have said it at the start. I'm missing out, man. We have lots of great work coming for you. You can check out the site, raptorsrepublic.com. Thank you for tuning in with us. And from myself, Trevon, and Josh, whether you got into this in the morning or at night, have a blessed day and goodbye.